Good morning, everyone. God tells Abraham in this week's Torah portion, Lecha, leave your birthplace, your land, and your father's home, and go to the land that I will show you. And God leads him to the land of Israel and promises it to Abraham and all his future descendants. Now, Abraham was 75 years old when God instructed him to leave his father's home to the land that I will show you. And the question is, what was he still doing in his father's home? Abraham was already a married man, married to Sarah at this point. He's 75 years old. You would have thought he moved out of his parents' home a long time ago. Why does God have to say, leave your father's house? And the commentaries explain it doesn't just mean literally your father's house, but it means something much more profound and deeper. And that is that even at the age of 75 or even beyond, every person still lives with the influences and the impact and the surroundings of his home environment that remain embedded and ingrained in their character and psyche throughout their entire lives. And what God was telling Abraham is that in order to become the first Jew and begin a new course, a new nation, the Jewish people, he would have to leave behind, meaning he would have to transcend those negative influences that he received as a child in his father's home. In other words, Avram Avinu had to divest himself of the idolatrous practices and messages that he received as a child. Of course, in psychology, people go to therapy to deal with their past, as the story of the three mothers talking about their children, how wonderful they are. And one mother says, my son is so wonderful. For my birthday, he brought me a Cadillac. Another one said, that's nothing. My son for my birthday brought me a condo in Miami Beach. And the third one said, that's nothing. My son has been going to a top-notch therapist on Park Avenue in Manhattan for the past 30 years. He goes twice a week, costs him $500 an hour, and all he talks about is me. You see, our parents have the first and most significant impact on who we are. But sometimes that influence could be negative. And therefore, Avram is told by God, leave your father's home behind. Sometimes to start a new journey, a new course, you have to be able to leave the past behind. Elie Wiesel, famous Holocaust survivor who became the voice and the conscience of the 6 million, has an amazing story called The Watch. He was born in Sighet, Germany. He was 15 years old. Sighet, Poland, Hungary. And he was 15 years old when the Nazis rounded him and his family up and sent him to Auschwitz. He survived and became the voice of the 6 million. And he became a Nobel Peace Prize winner. But he has a story called The Watch, and where he describes how when he was 15, when the Nazis were rounding up the Jews before Passover of 1944 from Sighet, Hungary, he had a beautiful gold watch that he got as a bar mitzvah present. And so he went into his backyard, measured a certain distance from a specific tree, and buried the watch in the hopes of returning one day to retrieve it. 30 years after the war, he decided to go back to Sighet, Hungary to retrieve that watch. In the middle of the night, he went to the home where he lived, went into the backyard, measured from the tree, and got down on his knees, as he says, like the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. And with his bare hands, he started to dig in the soil until he hit a hard box and opened it up, and there was his precious watch from his bar mitzvah. And right then and there, he said to himself, I'm going to restore this to its former beauty and luster. He then started to leave as the sun was about to start rising. Halfway down the street, he says he abruptly stopped, turned around, went back to the spot from where he retrieved the watch, redug the earth, and placed the watch back in the ground, covered it up, and left the watch behind. Elie Wiesel doesn't explain in the story why he decided to leave it behind. But perhaps what Elie Wiesel was saying was that I want to begin anew. I want to start a new life. Yes, as Jews, we never forget, but at the same time, we can't allow the past to paralyze us in the present and the future. And therefore, Elie Wiesel chose to leave the watch back in Sighet, Hungary, and move forward with his life. That was the first commandment to Abraham. Go forward to the land that I will show you, and leave your past, the past of idolatry, behind you. Have a wonderful day.